Hello and welcome. In today's video we will be crocheting this tablet cover using the bobble stitch. Now the pattern that I will be sharing with you today fits a tablet that is 6 inches by 10 inches. I'm very excited to share this pattern with you. Now let's get started. For today's project, I will be using I Love This Cotton yarn from Hobby Lobby, a size 5mm or H crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. To begin the tablet cover, we're going to start with a chain of 24. Now anytime you're working with the bobble stitch, you always want to start with a chain that's in multiples of 2. So to start, we are going to place a single crochet stitch in the second chain from the hook. So this is the first chain, and here is the second chain. I'm going to place the hook in that top loop of the chain, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on the hook. And in the next chain, go in the top loop of the chain, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through the 2 loops on the hook. And one more time, in the next chain, in the top loop of the chain, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Now to complete row 1, place a single crochet stitch in each of the chains for a total of 23, and I'll meet you at the end. Here we are at the end of row 1. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now the second row is going to be another row of single crochet stitches. The first single crochet stitch goes in that first stitch, and we're going to place a single crochet stitch in each of the stitches. Here we are at the end of row 2. I'm going to place a single crochet stitch in those last 2 stitches. Now I want to be sure that you catch that very last stitch. Now you may need to turn your work to see it. There it is. I'm going to place my hook in that last stitch. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now this will be your first row of bobble stitches. In the first 2 stitches, we're going to place a single crochet stitch. Now the first stitch goes right here. And the second single crochet stitch, and in the third stitch will be your first bobble. We're going to yarn over, go through that stitch, we're going to yarn over, pull it through, we're going to yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. And in that same stitch, we're going to yarn over, go through that stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. And in that same stitch, we're going to yarn over, go through that stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, and one more time we're going to yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Now you have 5 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over and go through all 5 loops. And in the next stitch, a single crochet stitch. And in the next stitch is your second bobble. We're going to yarn over, go through that stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops. We're going to yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and one more time, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2. There's your 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5, and a single crochet stitch. Now we're going to go through one more bobble, yarn over, go through that next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2, and one more time, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2. There's your 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5, and a single crochet stitch. Now this is the pattern that you will use to complete this row. You'll place a bobble, single, bobble, single, until you get to the end and have 2 stitches left, and I'll meet you here. Here we are at the end of our first bobble stitch row. We're going to place a single crochet stitch in those last 2 stitches. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now this row will be a row of single crochet stitches. We're going to place the first single crochet stitch right there. And the second stitch goes right there. And the next single crochet stitch goes at the top of the bobble. You may need to turn your work to see it. There it is. And the next stitch goes right there. And the next stitch at the top of that bobble. next stitch goes right there. And at the top of that bobble, next stitch goes right there. And at the top of that bobble, right there. Now go ahead and finish this row of single crochet stitches, and I'll meet you at the end. Here we are at the end of our single crochet stitch row. We're going to chain one and turn, and we're going to start on our second row of bobbles. In the first two stitches, we're going to place a single crochet stitch, and in that next stitch, we're going to place the bobble stitch, yarn over, and go through that stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through two. And once again, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through two, and one more time, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two loops on the hook. Now there's your 5 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 5, and a single crochet stitch in that next stitch. And we're going to work on one more bobble stitch. Yarn over and go through that next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through two, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through two, and one more time, yarn over, go through that same stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through two. There's your 5 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on the hook, and a single crochet stitch in the next. Now we're going to stop here, and we're going to take a look at our bobble stitches. As you can see, they're lining up. Now go ahead and complete this row with that same pattern, and I'll meet you at the end when you have 2 stitches left. Here we are at the end of our second bobble stitch row. We're going to place a single crochet stitch in the last 2 stitches of the row. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now I want to get you started on another row of single crochet stitches. The first stitch is going to go right here. And the next stitch. And the next stitch at the top of that bobble. You may need to turn it to see it. And the next stitch there. And at the top of the bobble, the next stitch there, then the top of that bobble, and the next stitch there. Now go ahead and finish out your row of single crochet stitches, and I'll meet you at the end. Here we are at the end of the single crochet stitch row. I've completed the row, and this is the pattern that you will use to complete the first side of your tablet cover. You'll crochet 18 bobble stitch rows and single crochet stitch rows. Now when you've completed all 18 rows, I'll meet you back here and we'll finish up this side. Here we are at the end of the first side of our tablet cover. I crocheted 18 rows of bobbles and single crochet stitches. When I completed that last single crochet row, I chained one, I turned and added one more row of single crochet stitches. Now to finish this off, we're going to tie off. And to do that, you chain one, cut your yarn, and pull it through. And there you have completed your first side of your tablet cover. Now one thing that I do is with this tail, I add a slip knot at the end. That way I can tell that that is the top of my work. Now, what you need to do is create the second side to the tablet cover. You can start the video over, and when your second side is completed, I'll meet you back here and we'll sew the sides together. Here we have finished the two sides for our tablet cover. All we have left to do is sew the sides together. Now as you can see, I have the tail of the yarn with the slip knots. I can tell that this is the top of my work. Now one thing we may want to do before we get started sewing, the beginning tail of the yarn, we're going to sew that in. Now if you choose, you don't have to sew it in right now. You can cover the tails as you crochet, but for the purpose of this video, I thought it best that we just sew them in. I'm going to trim the yarn. Now I'm going to take the back cover, back side, and place it like that. And I'm going to place the top side like that. And now we're ready to sew the sides together. Now to sew the sides together, we're going to place a single crochet stitch in each of the rows on the side. They should all be lined up. I'm going to place my hook in that very top stitch and the same on the back. I'm going to take my yarn and pull up a loop, and I'm going to chain one. Now to get started, that tail of the loop that you just pulled up, you may have to kind of hold that there to the back. And I'm going to place a single crochet stitch and then this stitch in the front for the row, and I'm going to line it up on the back. And the next, I'm going to go through there, same on the back. This row, just go along and line it up as you go along. You'll be able to see. And through this row, and there it is there. Now, go ahead and finish sewing the rest of this side, and I'll meet you at the corner. Here we are at the first corner. Everything has lined up nicely. I'm going to place the next to the last stitch here. And we're going to place our hook in that corner, in back, single crochet stitch, chain one, and in that same stitch another single crochet stitch, now for this edge we're going to be placing the single crochet stitches in each of the single crochet stitches that we started with. I'm going to place my hook there and make sure that I'm going into the same stitch on the back side. And in the next. Just making sure that I'm going through the same stitch on the back side. Now go ahead and finish out this edge with single crochet stitches, and I'll meet you at the next corner. Here we are at the second corner, and just as we did with the first corner, we're going to go through that last stitch there. We're going to chain one, and in that same stitch we're going to place another single crochet stitch. And for this row, just as we did with the first edge, we're going to line up our rows and place a single crochet stitch in each of the rows, making sure that we're lining it up on the back. All right, so go on ahead and finish this edge, and I'll meet you at the end. Here we are at the end of our last edge. We have one stitch left, and I'm going to place a slip stitch in that last stitch. So I'm going to go through that corner stitch and through the back. I'm going to yarn over, pull through the yarn, and then go through the loop. Now at this point you can be finished and just tie off by chaining one and cutting your yarn and pulling it through. But what I like to do is I like to place one more row of single crochet stitches just to give it kind of a finished look. So I'm going to chain one here, now as you can see I have this tail. I am going to just crochet that in this last row. So in that first stitch, I place a single crochet stitch in each of the stitches across, holding that tail to be sure that I catch it. Go on ahead and place a single crochet stitch in each of the stitches across, and I'll meet you here at this end. Here we are at the end of this row, and before we go any further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two tails of the yarn and I'm going to tie them together. Just going to place a knot. Now you have a couple options here. You can either sew these ends when you're finished, or you can crochet them. We're going to go on ahead with your single stitches. Place one there. Turn. Now, I think what I will do is, for this tail, I'm going to sew that in when I'm finished. For this one, I am going to crochet over it. Now go on ahead and place a stitch in each of the stitches, and I'll meet you here at the end to finish our work. Here we are at the end of our finishing row. We're going to complete those last 2 single crochet stitches. And we're going to slip stitch into that end stitch. Place your hook through the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, and go through that loop. Now we're going to tie off. Going to yarn over, go through that loop, take our scissors, cut the yarn, and pull it through. Now all that you have left is to sew in this final tail, and your project is complete. I hope that you have enjoyed crocheting with me today. Have a great day and keep on crocheting.